Hey, yeah, quiz, man. It's your boy, real quick though. And today I am going to show you all the upgrades that I have done from about a year or 2 years ago. So about a year or 2 years ago, I pretty much gave a somewhat of a tutorial of a podcast setup. So now what I'm going to do is show you guys what I've upgraded, give you some tips and tricks, and show you what I've learned throughout the years. So first things first, I got a new space. I'm very thankful for the space. A lot of people ask me, what do I use? You know, what type of cameras, what kind of software do I use, what type of mics? And I did go over that in the last video, but I'm gonna go over it again in this video. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more detailed. And you know, I gotta have the ATEM Mini Pro. So I'm not sponsored by anybody. Any of the brands that I mentioned, I'm not sponsored by them at all. So obviously, you know, the ATEM is pretty much the backbone. It is live editing. You don't have to edit. I do have HDMIs to every camera. I have my camera. I have the camera for everyone. And then I have the camera for the guest. Okay, the camera that I used to have CX405s, but I went ahead and upgraded. I now have Sony AX43s. That's what it looks like when it's open. Micro HDMI to standard HDMI that goes into the ATEM Mini Pro. Make sure you get the Pro because the Pro has physical stop and start for recording. People ask me, how do you put the music and answer phone calls? A lot of people use a recorder. Me specifically, what I use is I just use a regular old Bluetooth receiver. It connects to my phone. It goes directly into I have it in the second mic input, and that allows me to play music, answer phone calls, and you know, and it just sounds like it's a part of the show. I don't have to put a phone up to the microphone or nothing like that. Make sure you buy extra HDMI cables. I have a whole bunch of them. Also too, specifically with the ATEM Mini Pro, I don't know about the ISO and I don't know about the Mini, but what can happen is if you decide to grab a cable that is over 20 feet, 25 feet, besides the first channel, besides the first HDMI out, what can happen to 2, 3, and 4 is that your picture will flash. It'll flash in and out. So I strongly recommend you either get a fiber optic cable, or you can go ahead and make a purchase for these bad boys right here. They are signal boosters, and they work very well, very well. $40 for the investment. So what I do is I have standard HDMI to HDMI, and then camera works horrible. HDMI to HDMI. Then I run that from HDMI to micro HDMI, and that'll give you a nice clean picture. You can, I know I do. I monitor sound and visuals through Samsung monitor, nothing special. Samsung QHD, 43-inch. You know, it gets the job done. As far as audio, the audio that I'm using, the mics I use, they are handheld. They're handheld mics. You know what I'm saying? Handheld mics, nothing special. They definitely are wireless. I love these things. And they are by a brand called Phoenix Pro. So they have some good deals. By far, the best bang for the buck. By far. It has the auto scan. It will find the strongest channel for you to be on. And what else does it have? The range is 300 plus feet. I've used these things at concerts. I've hosted shows with these. And again, for what they are, for the price, is unmatched. The only thing that I don't like about them is the noise handling. But to combat that, just get yourself some mic stands. You know what I'm saying? I a few mic stands. There's another mic stand, and it just makes things. It makes in my opinion, it makes the show go a whole lot better. These mics are not light. There are some quality mics, and they get heavy. They get really heavy, and I can go on. I talk for 2 to 3 hours, sometimes even 4 hours each podcast. So I strongly advise you to get some mic stands for these mics. What else can they do? They have IR blasters on there so you can connect to them. And the specific unit that I'm using, I believe it's the P7, the PTU 7000. I'm able to have 4 mics, and that's in one of the mic inputs. So I could do a 16 mic setup if I really wanted to. Am I going to? No, but I can. What else can this thing do? As far as capturing, I have, and where is that thing? I have an SSD card. This is a 1 terabyte. You can go ahead and get it at Best Buy. It's an easy store. You know, even if, let's say, you accidentally unplug the ATEM or somebody unplugs the ATEM, everything that you captured is still going to be there. So that is a nice touch. Lighting can be an issue depending on your sensor size in your camera. The lights that I have in the last video, I still have them. I still use them. But like I said, we upgraded lights, and I'm gonna show you what I got. So these are about 20 bucks. 20 bucks each. These little things, they are bright. They're cold shoe lights. Show you how they work. Go ahead, you go into the hot shoe. You know, just to give you an idea how bright this light is, turn it on. It's a pretty bright light. I know the camera isn't doing it any justice, but it's a pretty bright light. And what you do is you just slide that in there like that, and there you go. Tripods, I did upgrade to tripods, or I upgraded tripods, and this is what I'm using. You can get these I got lucky, I found 2 of them for about 60 bucks, but no range. They can go up to 80 bucks, you know what I'm saying? And it all works out. Another tip, strongly recommend getting long cables, okay? And this is whether it's long HDMI cables or whether it is long charging cables. You want extra cables on deck. You want extra SD cards on deck. I couldn't tell you how many times I've went through cables or just cables would fail, or at least I think that they would fail, and just had to cancel episodes because I didn't have extra cables. Again, specifically for the ATEM Mini Pro, if you buy a 25-foot cable, you do not need a repeater for the first HDMI out. Don't do what I did. I threw a cable away because I thought it wasn't working. I was getting frustrated because I couldn't understand why some of these cables weren't working. The cables worked fine. It's just the second, the third, and the fourth HDMI out, the signal for some reason is not strong enough to push it all the way through the cable, hence the signal boosters. So don't do what I did and throw cables away, because it's not the cables, it's the signal strength. What other piece of advice do I have for you all? What do I use to put the text in and everything like that? You know, put my credits at the end. You can go on an app store and download pretty much any video editing app. I personally use UCut, and that allows me to enter my text at the bottom, and I'll stretch it throughout the whole episode. I'll put my credits at the end, and then boom, it's done. As far as getting good quality, you do have to have a good camera. But what you need to do is match every frame per second. If you are shooting in 60 frames per second on your video, on your camera, camcorder, your cell phone, whatever frame rate that you're shooting on the device, go into the ATEM Mini Pro software and set that exact same frame rate. And whatever editing software that you use, make sure that you set it to the exact same frame rate. I promise you, this is going to help with quality. I've already went through. I don't understand why it looks good raw footage, but then when I start to put it through different renders, it looks crazy. Now, putting it through different renders, it can mess up the quality a bit, but it really does help to just match every frame rate. Everything that you're putting it through, make sure the frame rates are the same. Trust me, it is a big help. Last thing too, learn your volumes on the ATEM Mini Pro itself and your microphones. Most likely, you're going to have two different volumes. Just turn the volume all the way up on one of the devices. I strongly suggest the receiver that I have, the volume is all the way up, and then I just adjust the volume on the ATEM Mini Pro. I do everything on my own. The ATEM Mini it's right in my reach, and whenever I talk, I switch to me, and whenever my guest talks, I switch to them. At first, it was kind of hard, but I got it down now. What else can I give some advice to? Just learn your equipment. Learn your equipment. If you're doing it by yourself, learn everything. And if you can help it, if whatever you're recording on, if you want more than one or two or three or four angles, make sure that all of the devices are the same. That's just a personal thing for me. I'm a huge podcast watcher. I'm a producer now, so I'm a little bit spoiled, and I can't stand that when I watch other people's podcasts, I can tell, that they're using different devices because of, different tones of color changes, brightness changes, saturation changes. You can see it. You can tell. So, that's just me nitpicking. Everything matches over here. This is not that hard to do. Does it take some money? Yes, it does. I went from $250 cameras to $1,000 and change cameras. You will want to upgrade. But this is a hell of an investment, but it's fun. If you love to do it, I strongly recommend everybody to do it. Mine is very mid-tier. It's not too much, but it's enough for people to be impressed and for me to make money off of producing other shows, whether they're comedy shows or podcast shows or even radio shows. I've done it all. I think that's going to conclude this video, man. You guys got to see the upgrades. Any questions, leave it in the comments. I will get back to you. And hey, you know how I get down, man. No sunsets over here. And we're always shining. This has been another edition to Black Truffle TV. And let's get your podcast started. You know how I get down over here. You can't fall if you don't trip. Peace.